Hi, welcome. Hello, everybody. Tuning in again. This is Simon on the sofa, not Sophie. Simon on the sofa. Simon on the sofa with Shelley Sageheart. And if you've been following our series, this is a continuation from the theme 2, which was on the theme of man. And yeah, there was something huge happened to me last night. So I just want to say hello to Shelley first, and then I want to just fill you in with where we are, and then we'll go from there. So, hey, Shelley, welcome. Thank you for just spontaneously diving in with me a bit further.
Oh, yeah, Simon, this is fun. Thank you.
So, if you've not been watching theme 1 and theme 2, and you're not familiar with what me and Shelley are up to, and this is your first video, then I just want to say, this might be okay to watch in itself, but you might want to go back and look at the work that the series that me and Shelley are producing and offering to the world right now, which is called Face to Face with the Confusion, and looking at four key poignant themes of our time in humanity, in where we are in evolution. And what happened yesterday I was so tired, and I've had such an emotional 2 months, but the last week has just been like full power. And Shelley's been, she knows that, and she's been also with me through that process. And these talks have really supported me. And after yesterday's talk, which I feel there's a lot of juice there, and me and Shelley dive, I felt after the talk that me and Shelley felt a little bit, and Shelley can speak herself, but I felt a little bit like, wow, I don't know where that talk went. I'm just, maybe something come out. I didn't necessarily feel that I got anywhere. Not that I was trying to get anywhere, because it's about facing the confusion, but there was a sense of like I had something in me that wasn't feeling very settled, as it were. And what happened is that I started to question. I had an experience with my own partner afterwards, a conversation, and a scenario happened with me where I had this experience where a man had just done a frivolous, maybe playful thing towards my partner. And I say my partner, there's no ownership, but to the woman that I'm intimately journeying with right now, based on an experience we had this week. Okay. And so that triggered me. And then after the call, when Shelley left and we wrapped up for the evening, I was feeling quite triggered about men in general. I was like, I'm not feeling good. I was feeling that we spoke a lot about lies, and I was feeling this sense of like lies, why I was going deeper into, what's at the root of our lying? Like there's something there that we're not aware of, that we're lying from, and we can't be aware of the lie, other than the fact that when we're told that we lie, that triggers us anyway. But we can't be aware of the lie in that deep unconscious awareness. And I was looking at that, and then when Dara shared to me, Dara's my partner in crime, and she shared to me a scenario that happened. And I was just like, it just boomed me, yeah? It was just like on with the tiredness. It was late at night. And I was like, I got it. It just like come to me. It was like one little moment. I was like, I don't trust man. I don't trust man. And then that went into, wow, I don't trust man, and I don't trust a woman in her naivety and how man seems to be able to manipulate woman or move towards woman more often than not from a pure place of like intrigue and curiosity and looking into this woman and seeing her divinity and her majesty and just maybe just seeing the talents or the other aspects of this woman. More often than not, still in my experience and with the frequencies that I'm in, it's coming from that place of like sexual desire. I want this woman. Even if they don't know them, they might just look at them as from an object. And then from there I went into, if I don't trust man, let me bring that back to self. Let me bring that back to me. Well, I don't trust myself, and in that aspect. And I was like, then I was looking at where I am at and how I am interacting with women and how my communication of transparency is with the different women that come into my life. And I thought, wow, yeah, that's gone straight into that aspect of myself that was a cheat and a liar and used to use subtle manipulation in order to get sex, in order to, you know, use my masculinity to somehow obtain what I want in that sexual energy. So I'm going to leave it there, because when I got up in the morning, I instantly emailed Shelley, and I was like, just sent her my message. It was like, last night there were tears and more emotion, and I felt like after the conversation I got to some deeper sense of where we might be going with where men are. And I just said that I don't trust men and so on. And I see so many men lying and can't communicate to women, can't say what they're really thinking and feeling, as I did mention on the other talk. And then I see how there's just this deceit and you know, subtle, not only manipulation, but also men putting other men down in order to somehow proclaim that they are good or they're great. And even men in tantric fields or polyamorous fields, and these men that, you know, play that they're all, you know, open and loving and authentic and it's all free love, but people are still, you know, getting hurt along the way. And I just want to say that I don't mind if people get hurt. If people are getting hurt, you know, that's sometimes down to the individual. And one of the things that also Dara mentioned is that, you know, you can't control if somebody's going to get hurt if you speak your truth. That is a key point. However, what I've said with Shelley, and Shelley's got a beautiful look on this, which she's going to share with you now, it's not clean. There's a lot of it not clean. So what I'm noticing is that the man's intention isn't clean. And maybe we're not in that space yet where we can be clean, because, you know, we don't know how to include everybody in the deeper conversation and the deeper communication. And I'm going to say one last thing, Shelley, is last night's conversation was very much about creating safe environments, safe spaces, so that we can be the best that we can be. And I don't see many people, you know, creating those spaces, not only in their intimate relationships one-on-one, but definitely not even in their group relationships, and so on and so forth. So anyway, Shell, I think I don't know if I've encapsulated, if I've missed anything, Shelley, from what I've shared, just, you know, bring it into the dialogue.
Okay, that was pretty thorough in terms of the whole flow of the territory that we're exploring. And the first thing that comes to mind is that the reason it's challenging for any of us to create safe space, even in our most intimate relationships, is because of the conditioning that we're all a part of. We're a part of, you know, the conditioning of our culture, of the world culture in general, the religious and historic conditioning. And then we're also the where we're coming from when we enter into relationship territory is we're coming from the conditioning that we received in our families. So whatever out of function dynamic that was going on between our mother and father and the way that played out, we took on those examples and we're playing them out in our relationships and in the way that we express ourselves in our gender. So that's part of why it's hard to get the safety, is because we're operating from that conditioning. So if we're going to dive past that conditioning and into the deeper waters, the deeper territory of these conversations, of the feminine wound, of the masculine wound, we have to recognize that we're going there. That's why, you know, that it's important to create safe space for that. And so I want to do my part now in initiating a safe space for the masculine, for you, Simon, to, you know, and thank you for the courage to just go ahead and contact these feelings and then speak to them. Is I really feel as a woman, it's my responsibility to continually learn to create safe space for that deeper exploration in the masculine. Because my conditioning, I can see it now, is because I don't feel safe. There's places where I haven't felt safe. There's actually a kind of a personality in woman that strikes out and and makes it not safe for man to tell his truth, right?
Right.
There's all kinds of stuff, that conditioning that happened to you as a man, and from your, you know, your mother and your other women, and then your partners, little things that told you it wasn't safe to be completely in your truth. And that if you were going to want to get the things that society, and this is really tricky then, right? Because it's all tangled up together. Because if you were going to get those things that society was telling you you wanted, which was like a nice car and a sexy woman and the big money and the, you know, fame and fortune and the house, and, you know, and it's all confusing too, and the 2-car garage and the wife and kids, but you've got a, you know, a couple hookers in the back with the bad boys, right? So
Right.
man, all these cultural messages. And so there's desire, right? His desire has become under the control of an economic model. And before we had the economic model, it was, you know, back more like in more ancient times, that control was applied to have engaging men in war. Right, there was sort of this co-opting of the man into war or into serfdom. So there's a real cultural, societal reason that men's sexuality is controlled, but it's so in order for certain applications, because the men's that's energy, that's their power, their sexual. So if we control their desire, we control the men. And if we have the men's attention somewhere else where it's being controlled, they're not, like if a man goes off to war, he's not available to protect his family and establish a sanctity at home. You know what I mean? His energy has been co-opted and is now being applied to the will of someone else. So that's the greater thing, but where that all plays out is in these interdynamics in our families and in our relationships, right? So we get into a relationship with a man, and the man gets into a relationship with a woman, and we're feeling for, is this a safe container for me to express my deepest truth? And usually what we find out is that it's not, because if I'm making, you know, love with this person and we're connected and it's feeling good, and suddenly I have a deeper need, something that's stirring from my desire, you know, like, well, I'm attracted to other people, or I meet someone and I actually want to be with them, and suddenly it's not safe, or maybe I just want to try like a new way of expressing myself sexually, and suddenly
Right.
it's the man, or it could happen for a woman too, but if the man experiences, or he already has a program running, that it's not safe to express my truth, it's suppressed, right?
Yeah.
And then he has to become a charlatan. He has to, you know, assert some kind of an agenda to get his needs met. And probably, but the reason that's happening is because he's also felt an oppression from the woman. I mean, I don't know how many times I have, you know, raged at my men in fear of their desires. And just, you know, the very thing that I was talking about in the feminine wound, like just the feeling of being utterly shut down. I have definitely utterly shut down my men from that fear, from fear of being disrespected, or just fear of loss or abandonment, or.
Right. When you say that, Shell, when you say that, you mean you've shut down, you've put like an armor up, you've closed off. Yeah, that's what you're saying? Yeah,
I've put an armor up myself, and I've also been controlling towards my men with disparaging comments, or are just flat out like rage, or like irrational rage, like, you want that person, don't you? You know, like just throwing jealousy at them when they're not even in that space. It's just, I'm so anticipating it because it's a pattern.
Right. But yeah, but you know what, I want to speak to that slightly, because I want to just say something to that, because I've met so many men, and you know, even men that I've coached and so on, where you know they're not necessarily bad men, but they will not speak their truth to the woman in deep fear of how she's going to react and respond. So if a man was to say, you know, I have feelings for another woman, or I find that woman really attractive, or I love the energy of that woman. Women are often so fragile and scared of either losing their man, and this idea that we even own a relationship, or that we need to be with one person, etc., etc. That's another layer of this as well, because there's this idea of ownership, which we're moving beyond. But however, they're so scared of how they're going to respond that they think it's safer. That's what they've said to me, that it's safer to not share what's really going on, because they cover up. These are just thoughts, you know. It doesn't matter if I'm thinking I always that I want to be with somebody else, you know, or that she's not really the one for me. But you know what, we get on really well, and they come up with all these little buffer cover-ups of justifications of why it's good, when deep at the core they're not experiencing what they want.
Yeah. And thank you for bringing that forward, because that's when what you just spoke to there is really an empowerment for both men and women, because it's like, wow, collectively, if we start making a safer space to speak those deeper truths, and we it's not that we're not going to be a reactionary, or we're not going to have jealousy, because those things are conditioned. They're part of the program that's running. But we really start to get into this space where it's like, I know that's there. There's a deeper truth in my man, and I'm going to, instead of being afraid of what he wants to share with me, I'm going to create a space that sharing can come in.
Right.
That can be spoke. Right. And then from there, we can have more authentic communication.
Right. And you know what's lovely as well, as you're speaking, it's totally, this is so beautiful that this is coming through like this, because this is what I've seen in my vision of how people can come together in inclusion, is that in that space, do you know what's so beautiful, Shelley, is that when we communicate our truth of what we really want or want to experience, and we actually bring that into that safe space of sharing, etc., the woman that you're with doesn't want to be with the man that doesn't want to be with her anyway. She wants to be with the man who loves her, adores her, respects her, sees her, and wants to explore with her. So if the safe container is allowed to be shared, I'm going to throw this in there as well. When a man actually shares what he wants and what he thinks he wants and so on, and he may even get to experience it or not, sometimes just by being able to share it also deepens the connection with the woman you're with. Every time I've shared and I do this regularly, every time I've shared in deep sharing with whoever it is, but Dara, Lou, whoever it is, there's a liberation and freedom takes place that I can actually feel empowered to be who I really am and share what I'm really thinking and feeling. And that's changing from moment to moment. But what that does is it makes me feel so supported and connected to the woman who I am with anyway, or man or woman, it doesn't matter who you're with, that you just feel that bond, that real bond. And that bond is so clean and so authentic that it does require the opportunity to be with somebody, but also in that you also feel, you mentioned this last night, but more sovereign in your being, because you're not holding back or lying or in some slightly inauthentic or just not fully giving and present of you in that space. So what we're experiencing is men, so many men and women, but in this context of man, that are not able to show up fully, Shelley, because they're not even being, they're scared and they're not even being allowed. That's what's coming through.
Yeah, and so I want to bring that back just to there's a reason for that in some ways, that it's not safe. And we could get into the things that have happened, things have happened historically, things have happened in our individual lives that have made both men act in pre-programmed ways and women. So we're both responsible for the lack of safety. It's a confusing dynamic, because often the woman she's feeling like a sense of disempowerment, or can feel victimized, and so it's difficult. And the man's the one that's acting. I don't think we brought this into the conversation, but he's acting with the entitlement and the the kind of imperialistic.
Bring that in. Sorry, wait there, because I'm speaking over you. So wait there. This is you've got to bring this in the imperialistic. So just start again, because I spoke over you.
Okay. So just we'll just track it back one more step, which is when a man doesn't feel it's safe to speak his truth, there's no safe container for his truth, which may be the nature that in the context of this conversation, often that truth is the nature of his sexual expression in the world. It's not like he hasn't even a lot of times in the context of our societies and our families, there's no even real context or conversation for a man to be in touch with that energy, or to know what that energy's, the purpose of that energy. That's the other thing. There's not necessarily clarity about the purpose of that energy, because from the get-go, it's been co-opted and even turned into an oppression.
Right.
So but the weird thing about it is how that translates to how men are in the world is the entitlement attitude, the attitude that really what's going on is there's this whole aspect of my being, like let's just take man, like there's a whole element of man's being that there's a purpose and a reason and like a beautiful thing about his sexuality, but because it's been, kind of like put under wraps and create a package has been created around what that's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Now he has to have some kind of a mask, an identity for his sexual expression in the world. And what that becomes is entitlement. So that's the man who's like, at the bar, hey, lady, can I buy you a drink? Or just, not even, can I buy you a drink? Can I just tell you all about myself? No question.
Listen, how many men have come up to you and said, hey, lady?
Actually, none.
I like, mate, more like it's normally the man walks up and like thinks he's so cool, and drops a line and just feels like a total plonker. But I totally know what you mean. Though. Yeah, just that thing where they are approaching they're almost approaching the woman as if that the woman owes them something. Is that what we're pointing to as well?
Exactly. Yeah, and depending on the man's level of like, slickness in that the art, a lot of times what it just comes out like is they just come into my space and they just plunk something down. They're not even aware of the context of which, or who they haven't even really, they're just like, there's a woman, and they're like, their energy arcs over into my territory before they've even really asked themselves, like, who is that woman? Like, what is she saying about herself? Right? So there's no context really for even, and that's why I call that entitlement or like an imperialist kind of way of being. And it's a mask. It's the thing that the male ego does to cover up that there's this deep, unaddressed territory in his being that our culture, even our world cultures is, has been denying.
This is so, for me, we're touching, I'm so happy that we're getting, this is the deep dive for me, because, if there's any shift in reality, it's the shift in the awareness of what it means to be a man. And for me, my brother calls this the sexual energy virus. And I'm dying to get him on to talk about that, because there's another aspect of just the sexual virus that we're all, we're all a part. And you're talking about it as well in the way that you express it. And this comes back to what I said about the uncleanness. Like, I can give you a scenario where recently a man just completely put me down on one observation of meeting me once, judged me in that moment, put me down, and then attempted to get with Dara from that space where, like, totally disregarding me as a male, not even having a conversation with me, not even really connecting with Dara and going, wow, and meeting her and asking her about her man and what's he about, and where are you at, and so on. Just literally bringing that force of out of aligned, unhealthy ego, yeah. And I'm coming from this place where, men, if you're watching this, check in. We do not have to put each other down and judge each other and condemn each other in order to try and get in the knickers of a woman. It's like, that has to stop now.
Yeah.
It has to stop. I'm saying that with conviction, because I'm telling you now, what you just said, you said the same thing what I said. I know that Dara and every woman that I know, every woman that watches my Simon on the Sofas, I know that you would honor a man or a woman who just spoke to you and asked you some questions about who you are and where you are, before even contemplating the potential of being able to touch your yoni in any capacity. That deserves silence.
Yeah.
We're talking about sacredness, honoring of what it means to be human, divine, honoring the Mother Earth, honoring the planet, honoring the yoni, honoring the woman, first and foremost, honoring the woman as her yoni, and then honoring the man, honoring his lingam. Like, honoring your lingam. Men, do you honor your genitals? Do you understand the power you have in between your legs? The power in between my legs has caused me to commit crimes. It's caused me to cheat on people. It's made me drive hundreds of miles and break the speed limit in order to get an ejaculation, which was not even that fruitful. It's caused me to get in debt. It's like this sexual energy, if this isn't started to be looked at and honored and respected as life creative force, we're only going to go downhill. And, obviously I know we are evolving, and I'm an optimistic that lives that this awareness is coming, but I still see pornography and sex and is the deep, one of the biggest searched thing on the internet. Sex still sells. Women in high heels with a short skirt and loads of makeup on is still the feature. Feature films, if you highlight flesh and cocaine and drugs and hedonism, pornography, sex, prostitution, they sell more. Isn't it common knowledge? Why does it sell more? Why are these films going to get more viewers? Because we're deeply conditioned to that. We're addicted to it. This is something that, why do you think that kids don't even understand? Their first impression of sex is porno. This is insane. This is a sexual disease. It's a virus.
Yeah, and I see that, and I'm so grateful that you're speaking to that. And what I'm most interested in is sovereign. I can really say at this point I'm interested in sovereignty for the man. It's like, I mean, for the man and for women, and it's through that sovereignty that we're going to grow out of the ways that things have been, and into a deeper field of love and trust, because that love and trust field is where we can nurture life. So whether that's our own lives, like we can feel healthier and more expressed and creative and functioning in the world, or we can actually have families that are functional, creating the future generations. It's the energy of trust and nurturing that will allow us to work together in community and go beyond the trips that sabotage co-creation as larger groups of people, and ultimately how we're relating with the planet and how we nurture and care for our environment. So sovereignty of the man is hinging on getting clear about this very conversation, as far as I can tell. And it has to come in a way from the woman in which she's not, you know, blasting the man with blame for his experience, but where we're really recognizing together, like, whoa, there is some deep conditioning, you know, and so in that deep conditioning, I have to take responsibility for how that conditioning is affecting me, and how that's creating a situation inside myself that makes it not safe for the men, or like makes it so that I'm not, you know, I'm emotionally shut down. So then that means I'm sexually shut down, which means that I'm not available to actually have a real intimate sexual relationship with my partner. And he goes on desiring other things because we're not connecting. There's no connection. So there's a lot of responsibility in discovering sovereignty for both the woman and the man. Like we have to do the work.
Yeah.
But the result of that sovereignty, that's really where I'm winding us towards, and where I want us to explore in these conversations. And it's such a tender place, and you know, that's part of why I got ferocious around the feminine wound for me, is because the tenderness that wants to nurture creation, the tenderness that is just tired of being imperialized because it wants to actually flourish. It doesn't want an energy to just, you know, it's like sovereignty means existing and as a realm onto yourself, right? So a flourishing sovereignty is like for me as a woman, it's like I'm a flourishing sovereignty, like I'm learning to create my ecosystems and to be in harmony and to be creating from that place. And so what I need like energy that works with me or approaches me and asks me to, you know, to dance in a good way. It's interested in who I am before it comes in, you know. And then I get to choose. I'm like, that feels good. Okay, let's open up in these ways. Let's grow a garden here, and let's plant a seed here, and let's execute that there, and let's do this, right? But it's coming because I've been asked about who I am, and I've been invited into co-creation, not co-opted into co-creation.
Yeah, not coerced and manipulated and subtly, you know, duped on the corner, you know what I mean, and brought into some false sense of security, and then just left out hung to dry, you know.
Yeah.
So you said
depleted. Because another thing, like you sort of touched on the genitalia, right? Like a man has agenda of getting in a woman's knickers.
Right.
But I would like to propose that mentality actually translates to the way in which we use feminine energy in the world. Like the reality is that feminine energy is sort of, it's like it's not just a yoni. It's like you said, it's a bigger field of creation. It's a creation field. And every single woman on the planet is this generating creation field. And so if a man comes in with an agenda, he's basically, in raw terms, he's looking to plant a seed, right? Like an idea, an intention, an agenda. He's got a mission, right? And if he comes in unconsciously with his mission, we get unconscious creations.
And it's interesting. Yeah, go on, carry on.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it's interesting because when we talk about complete being or sovereign and this way of, you know, we touched on this last night, I know, of like not needing another to fulfill you, but being able to show up in that. Then we're also masculine come together, and it's way beyond the energy of just this need for ejaculation and somehow, you know, some fruitless experience. It's about how we can merge with that energy that you're pointing out, and how that can give us expansion and crack us open and make us feel connected to the deeper aspects, the grander vision of reality, the grander, you know, the grander self than our, you know, our individual idea of self, you know, the me mentality. And it also, I've got here that togetherness that then happens in that space, you know, enables us to make love to ourselves, honor ourselves in that sovereign space, make love to ourselves, caress ourselves. You know, I often say to people, Shelley, men, you know, I'm saying this now on video, who, you know, my brother brought this to my awareness, and I've been like, you know, I've not been massive on masturbation in my life because I felt it was dirty. Yeah, when I was growing up, I felt that masturbation was dirty. It was all about men wanking and coming and cum shots, and you know, I was coming from that dysfunctional place, and men just talking about wanking for some sort of like, you know, release. You know, it was just about release. So when I started to masturbate, I started to find myself masturbating without even really caressing my lingam, not even playing with my testicles or stroking my thighs or rubbing my chest or caressing my face or acknowledging my breath, or not even trying to ejaculate, but just playing with myself because it feels nice to play with myself and touch myself. I wasn't aware that I could even do that. It was just straight hand on the penis and let's knock this bugger out until it comes. You know, it's like, even as I say it, it's like, oh God, it's so for me, detached. It's, you know, it's so detached from the sexual feeling, the energetic feeling of life force flowing through you when you actually make love to yourself. And this is something that I'm exploring just in the past several months, you know, the last year, and I'm not even exploring it much. I'm still finding myself falling back into the old programmed way of touching myself and going, you know, doing it in the way that is just, you know, it just feels disconnected is the best word to use. And when you said something about this harmonious way of respecting and honoring the woman and coming into her, and it takes on so much more meaning and so much more, like, just think, the whole essence of life, every single thing that you are touching and caressing and being with, every single human being, every animal, every being is come through that force of sexual, connected, reproductive energy. It's like all of creation is coming from that. You could call it that we're living in one huge, orgasmic, magnificent, sexually energetic, life-giving force, right? We're in that. We are that. We're part of that. And it's like we take that not only for granted, we abuse it. We don't understand it. We're not even acknowledging it. We have no conscious connection to it whatsoever. We're not taught, or we're not educated it. Okay, then it goes into like little realms where, okay, we're talking about, you know, yogic sexual energy or tantra or Kama Sutra or what, these are different. But if we just don't try to keep boxing things in and just go, wow, there's an area in ourselves that we know, I mean, we know pretty much nothing about so much, but our sexual energy is like truth and is like death. It's so taboo in our society. It's as if it's been suppressed for a reason, socially suppressed. And now, without even realizing, not blaming any people doing this, collectively we suppress it without even understanding. It's like this great example I had of the monkeys, funny enough, Shelley, you love monkeys like me. And this monkey experiment that I read, and I'm not gonna say it now. I'm gonna post this monkey experiment for people when they can watch this, because this monkey experiment describes how we function and act without even knowing why we act that way, because it's just been deeply engraved into us and it's the common norm all around us. And if we break out of that, the collective pull us down and keep us shackled by it. And they don't even know why they're shackling us other than deep fear of something they don't even know what they're scared about. Does this make sense? Am I making sense?
Yeah. It's like as we kind of burst through these realms around our sexuality, it's like what lies beyond the sexuality is the reality that the inherent nature of life is sexual. It is a dance between creation is a dance between masculine and feminine energy. And so then what we're pointing at, what we're directing our attention towards is the sovereign nature of our true nature. It's like we're getting to, like, we're just like sort of peeling back the first wave in this dive. In a sense, it's like, whoa, there's a true nature, human nature behind all this. And like, we're just beginning to discover what that is. It's like, we're just beginning to invite ourselves into the conversation of what would it be like if we could live from this place. What would our values be?
Right, that's lovely. And we get to, like, what would our values be? As you're talking and I'm sitting with all this, I'm buzzing, right? You can see it. I don't know if you see it. I'm just I'm full power buzzing. My whole body is just pulsating at the moment. I'm just feeling this energy. And what we're talking about is imagine if you just respected the sheer magnitude of what we're talking about, of what we are as a creative being, as part of that huge vastness that we can't even consider sometimes because it's just too powerful. But if we just allowed ourselves to be with that and go, wow, imagine how you would first speak to another woman or man. Imagine how you would first not only speak to them, but hold them or touch them. Imagine the way you would first kiss them. Imagine the way you'd listen to them. It's like the same, and I know we're going to move into children and family next week, but it's the same. It brings that into every, I know you've said this, but every cell, every speck of our quanta, every speck of what is happening on this planet, you start to realize that you are that. And that's just like, that just sheds away so much crap, all this like superficial, projected rubbish. I got no better word to say other than, I don't know what else to say other than like just crap, that we get caught up in and distracted by and identified with. It's like, hello. It's like, hello.
Yeah.
Wow. Anyway, what are you feeling as a follow-up? I mean, where are you at? I'm buzzing at the moment. I know we're going to do another video as well, but I'm just like, I feel that we've definitely at least given the people, you beautiful viewers that are watching this dive with us, I really hope you're enjoying this, and as much as we're just transparently showing up, because this for me is where it's at. And like, even as this is changing and evolving, I'm going to get off this call and me and Shelley are going to talk, and then other things are going to come up, some things I might have missed, but just this conversation for me, anyway, we teach and share what we need to learn, but for me is really bringing a sense of, a deeper sense of clarity and also, seeing that where we've been confused. Shelley, I don't know if you read that wonderful comment from the woman. 2 women now have sent me 2 beautiful messages on the thread and in the forum about how through our conversations, they've been able to honor their fathers and the men in their lives that they've probably had a bit of expectation on to be different, but have acknowledged that they also didn't have the tools or the awareness or the conversations and the framework and networks around them from other men and maybe other women that could even enable them to be more aware than the women, that the women, in this case, women or man, would have wanted them to be. I don't know if you saw that, but please don't let me, if you've got anything else you want to share, please, don't let me dissuade you from whatever you want to close on?
I do. I because you brought it up about the healing balm that really starting to see the suffering of man in a sense, or not suffering like in a victim way, but the wounding that men have experienced collectively throughout time, and how that translates into our experiences in modern day life.
Right.
It's incredible because women have this incredible, ability to tap into their compassion, and naturally, just from that compassionate place, just the witnessing that we offer with our beings, around pain and around the wounding, just the witnessing that a woman can, the kind of change she can instigate from that witnessing is it's powerful. And women have been doing that throughout time. When men come home from war, and women help to, soothe those wounds and transmute those energies. And that's another piece, is that woman naturally is part of what she does is she transmutes a lot of the heavy stuff, just like the earth transmutes our collective heavy stuff, and
right.
woman transmutes her husband's heavy stuff sometimes. And then the group field for women is there, but we can't do it all. Especially the other thing is that women can't do all the transmuting if they themselves also feel wounded, or they have a judgment. Like for me, with my father wound, for example, like father energy's been absent, so it's going to be difficult for me not to just receive the other in their wounding and not judge it as he's abandoned me, or he's wants to sabotage me, or like whatever that might be, right? And I'm not really in my full sovereign power as a woman, so I'm not really able to do my job of witnessing, job. That sounds heavy, but the potential that I have as a woman is to witness suffering in the world, and just through the compassionate love of my presence. That's what the mother does, is through the compassionate love of her presence, can heal and transmute, and through the passionate wisdom of her being, awareness can be brought forth. But if women feel hurt, it's not going to happen. So as women, we have to take responsibility. We have to discover that sovereignty and come to understand our own wounding and our psychology, so that we can individually and collectively hold that safe space for the men, where we're not like, oh, you guys have been, like, you bad guys for doing, acting from your subconscious. But instead we're like, gosh, like, you know what? I see you, and I recognize that there's this whole amazing aspect of the masculine, both in my man and in the collective, that isn't being honored because of the levels of cultural suppression. And it's bad. I mean, I'm saying levels of cultural suppression, but what I'm speaking to is rape and engagement in, being taken to war at a young age, being humiliated, heavy
trafficking.
Human trafficking. But I'm talking about the things that have been done to man, like the mistreatment of the sensitive, cosmic, sovereign identity of man, male energy, has been brutally abused, and it's not like there's an abuser and an abusee. I mean, they've been perpetuating that on each other. And it's like, it's common. Go ahead.
No, I just said that this, what we're talking to, what we're bringing into the awareness here, is the violence that humans have had to endure, and this is even the subtle violence that has become almost acceptable in the ability that we've been able to numb ourselves off and disengage and disassociate ourselves from that awareness, which has then perpetuated the abuse and the violence and the suffering from that space. And what we're saying is that well, I'm saying this, is that, I want to uncover that. I want to uncover that myself. You spoke about the father. All I ever saw growing up was men, and this isn't blame on man, just what I saw, men leaving women, cheating on women, never knowing how to communicate to them, shouting at them and so on. And this isn't just about domestic violence. This isn't just in my environment. This is that the men, even my stepdad and my father, they tried to do the best they could, right? But they didn't know how to communicate. This all comes back to communication on a much deeper level, from a space of self-love. And more importantly, what me and Shelley are doing is the inquiry. At least, I'm not saying I'm nailing it. We could look at so many different alleyways and ways of what we're talking about today. But I feel we're going in the right direction. I don't know I know you feel the same, Shelley, but for people watching, for me, this feels like we're at least going, hey, what's at the root here? What's at the root of this? So much, is this really how humans are supposed to interact and engage with? Are we really supposed to be creating these systems and these institutions? Is this really how we want to function? Should there be this much imbalance in the way that we connect and communicate and interact and share our resources and come together in community? Is it really? And it's just getting tighter and tighter and tighter. That's what it feels like to me. This is like, we're talking Star Wars navigation. I'm telling you, man, we're gonna, R2D2 is gonna be around here in a minute, mate. I'm gonna be like, let's roll. We need to be jumping in the spaceship.
I got baby Chewbacca by my side.
Listen, any minute now, Yoda's gonna pop up. He's gonna go, hate leads to fear. No, what does he say? Hate leads to fear. Fear leads to suffering. Can't remember what he says. But Yoda knows. Yoda knows. I want to just say to you guys watching, right? I know I get super pumped up and energetic and hyped up, but out of every little crevice that I've explored so far in my short stay here, which is very temporary, something, forget what I've read or not read, or, people that this is about, for me, and, I'm only speaking to the people that, want to hear this, right? Because some just, this is all just far out there, and that's okay too. But nothing has given me more a sense of drive, purpose, truth, clarity, than diving deep within myself and looking at these wounds, and then the freedom and the liberation that comes out from diving where we're diving, and then the potential of creation and co-creation that births through us in that place. Man, I'm telling you now, that is life force. That buzzes me up. Forget drugs. I've tried drugs. I tell you guys about the drugs. This is ecstasy beyond ecstasy. This is like, you want to tap into real sense of living, alive, presence, oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine. You want it all, then dive into your wounds. Let's uncover them together. Let's create safe spaces. Let's make that our mission. Let's make that coming together our mission, to nurture each other. Man and man, come together. Put down your stupid swords and guns. Stop making bullets and weapons and all this other crap. There's nothing to fear out here. Come and have some fun and hugs and dance. And still create a beautiful world. Express. Use our collective energy to create things we can't even imagine right now. There's magical people out there doing beautiful things already. Let's get on board that bandwagon. Let's come out of these depths of this just thick, heavy, gloopy shit.
I get one thing. Yeah, let's come out of it. And the part of me that wants us to come out of it is it's really tender. I keep, something that comes to my mind is like the exquisite vulnerability of, like, you know, the most new little flower, like a little flower, a little lily of a wild lily, right? And it's emerging up out of the rich soil of Mother Earth, and just for a moment expressing its life, it's expressing its tenderness, and naturally in that expression there's that potential for creation, right? She's gonna grow up and express her bloom, and there's that moment where it's like, am I gonna continue on this, you know, do I get my chance at the continuation of this species, right? So in a sense, it's like every woman is sort of expressing that. It's like I have this deep tenderness in me, this deep nature that says I want to nurture life. I want to see things in a good way. I want things to be flowing in goodness, because that's our potential. There's a gentle, you know, and that could kind of be like, in kind of cosmic terms, we could call that that's the cosmic child, you know, that wants to come through humanity, is like once mom and dad, and that's inside of ourselves, ma and pa inside of ourselves, the war between the man and the woman, like once we get past that and we figure out who we are, and that's also the masculine feminine balancing. Once ma and pa get balanced, naturally through each of us, through our hearts actually manifest the divine, like the cosmic child, the divine child, the energy that says it's okay, like you just said, it's safe to put down our wielding weapons and really just show up here in all, you know, in all genuine tenderness, all genuine vulnerability. It's okay to arrive to our human experience, and let's see what we can create from love. You know, what can we create from love? And it's like it's such a vulnerable place that you really got to have all hands on deck, in a sense. Ma and pa got to get it together.
Yeah.
Ma and pa got to get it together, and that's.
Yeah, we're going to rename the whole thing. We should just call ourselves Muppers.
Muppers. Yeah.
Ma and Pa together. We're Muppers, man. We got to become, that would be a whole new cult following. We got to be Muppers, man. We got to become, whatever happens, we got to become Muppers in this world, man. We got to become Muppers.
It's a Mappa mandate.
It's like, you know, hey, man, we do workshops. We've sussed it for $999. You can become a mupper in just 7 days. your path to enlightenment. Just get a tattoo called Mupper on your forehead. Hey, I'm a Mupper.
I'm a Mupper.
No, but listen.
Invite your Mupper to supper.
Yeah, invite your Mupper for a cuppa. Yeah, I like that. Have a conversation with your mupper. No, but you know, as always, in all seriousness, the beauty of the laughter is rich, and what I think you just really summarized a little bit of where we are. I think it's a beautiful place to close on what you just said. If you're feeling the vibe from that, we can keep going. But I think for people who have come on the 2-hour call last night, and then this little extra added this week is a real, you know, listen, everybody watching, please, me and Shelley have put these videos out there from this place of inquiry. It's an open forum inquiry. Me and Shelley can't be involved in the whole inquiry. We're doing stuff every day. We're creating images. You know, we're putting this out there for people. You know, the forums there, the comment threads under these videos, share with us. You know, is this resonating? You know, is it resonating for you? Are you on this path? Is this where you're at? Is this enabling you to strip away some layers? Can you see this connection that we can really strip away that old aspect of ourselves? And if we're in that space between stories, what is going to birth? And what are we coming together to birth? And yes, there's lots of beautiful things out there happening. We are part of it. You know, the future isn't here. We are all in our many different modalities, many different spaces around the world, whether you're into science, holographic universe, bloody, you know, quantum science, you're into UFOs, you know, whatever your thing is, angels, you know, whatever you're into, if we just bring it back to how are we communicating day in, day out, then this is a beautiful opportunity for us to just come back into ourselves, come back into this experience, this body, and see how we can, from that inner aspect of ourselves, how that can outwardly, as within, as without, just put out beautiful, like Shelley just described. What seeds are we planting for the next generations? My dad's dad before that, they all planted seeds. Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm planting seeds. Shelley's planting seeds. Every single thing that you are watching this, you chose to watch this video, every single action that you're doing, conversation you're doing, is planting a seed. It's nurturing the soil. You're watering your contribution to life. You're watering your aspect of nature within you. Your natural aspect of you. So what are we contributing right now? That feels rich for me. It feels like, wow, how am I showing up each day? You know, I wrote some of these questions the other morning of like, you know, what do I want for myself? What new goal would be meaningful to me? What am I excited about learning or giving? What great new adventure do I dream of? What grand pursuit will satisfy me? What world do I want to be a part of? What act of service will satisfy me? You know, what will get me out of bed in the morning feeling vibrant and alive? What relationships do I want to experience? You know, these are rich, you know, these are rich questions to, when we're in this privileged state, to ask and then go, wow, you know. Anyway, I might be digressing there, but I think that's what I want to share as we move on, and you know, this is sharing. I want to thank you first and foremost, Shelley, just for this for me feels that last night you know, there was some fog and we were moving through, and you know, it was cool, and then today I feel that at least I'm very happy that we continued this this dialogue on man. It seems it was definitely needed, and so I'm thanking you for that.
You're welcome. I feel, and in that, in the opportunity to continue the conversation a bit and just sort of naturally let some of my thoughts and feelings kind of just unfurl here and share. I feel really held and understood in the greater context of the conversation we're having, and it's beautiful because, like I said, it's a real tender place that this information, like as it moves through my being, there's a real vulnerable, tender place that it's coming from. I mean, there may be strength in my communication, but there's just that deep tenderness that it emerges from, and
yeah.
And so to experience a safe place and to be holding that safe place for myself too, really, the more I express from my sovereignty, the more that it becomes safe to be in my truth. And then we share that, and that's how we grow. That's what I'm experiencing. So thank you, Simon. Thank you for this growth. And
the tenderness and the rawness to just really acknowledge that. And I'm glad you for bringing that, because I know tonight as well I've been quite a bit powerful in terms of, like, you know, that masculine charge, but it's been nice to have the harmonious the harmonious balance that you've brought to this, I feel, to this conversation as well. It's been lovely, and acknowledging that tenderness. And you know, I as you know, I've been crying and raw and tender for, you know, months, years now, and I think that a number of women said to me a few years ago, definitely my ex-partner, definitely about a year ago, actually, about a year and a half ago, I started getting told from a lot of women that I needed to feel more. A lot of women were feeding back to me like, Sai, you know, you're amazing, you're beautiful and all this, and you know, you've got a lot of words, and you've got saying, but, you know, I'd love to see you dive into what you're feeling. And, you know, this year it's been so rich, but it's been a real feeling. I started to understand, and still I'm not by any means saying I've arrived anywhere, but I'm starting to understand what they were pointing to in terms of, like, you know, feel, you know, can you feel, and try to come from that space. So I want to acknowledge all of those beautiful women along the way that have also shared that with me and pointed that out to me, because I'm starting to really feel more, you know, and it is raw and it is tender. Ah. Whenever I laugh like that, it reminds me of Eddie Murphy. I'm like,
I know. He said. I just have this picture of, like, if we could invite everyone to, you know, like, share some sort of image of them expressing tenderness, like. And what I thought of is, like, what if everybody had their own little monkey, you know, and that was like an expression of developing a relationship with that heartful place, our cosmic child.
So we're going to ask everybody to hug monkeys. I mean, they might go, like, I love the conversation, and then at the end you guys just flipped it on the head. And everyone's going to send us photos. And then we're going to put them viral, and it's just going to be people sharing photos online with monkeys.
But I don't want them necessarily just to do a monkey, but, like, really, what share with us an expression of you in relationship to your tenderness.
Yeah, that's nice. I mean,
yeah.
Because otherwise, if we go out there, go on, carry on.
No, go ahead.
No, you carry on.
Okay. So the idea would be, like, the monkey right now just sort of represents that our inner child, that cosmic child, the heart space. So I want to invite us to share with each other an expression and this is like a way of self-honoring of, in our sovereignty, whether you're man or woman, what's an expression of you in heart space, in nurturing space?
This is me. Take it. No, genuinely messing around. Like, I love that. How can we evolve humanity? Everyone go and buy a monkey. No. Seriously.
Well, you know what? It actually is a profound metaphor. It really is. I mean, it's just coming up. This is because monkeys are really a unique, diverse species on the planet, right? Or I don't know if species is the right word, but they're unique cohabitants. They're our brothers and sisters in the ecosystems of the earth. And I guarantee you, I have never seen a monkey in the wild, and I guarantee you that they are endangered. And we've probably even lost some really unique species.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a cute little joke, but it's like, on another level, it's no joke.
Yeah. No. I was laughing in jest as well. I think the invitation, if people feel genuinely in the forum or they want to send us, what are you laughing at? I'm being serious now.
I know.
just when I was connecting to a bit of seriousness, you just start laughing at me. What's that all about? That's it. I'm not going to speak now. I feel wounded, completely wounded. I'm wounded. No, genuinely, if people would like to listen to what Shelley just shared and share images with us, or even just, even if you don't want to get involved and post us an image, just, what does that represent for you? That's a great inquiry as well. So I think we're going to say goodnight because we're going to film another short video for the forum. Just want to say thank you to you all. Thank you to Shelley, as I've already said. Thank you for hanging out with us. Life is a magnificent, beautiful gift. Time is precious. We're all unique expressions of life. And me and Shelley are diving deep, exploring face to face with the confusion. This is the third video, which is an extension of the theme 2, which is man. Please join us on the other videos that we're going to be creating on family, relationships and children, and then into our connection to Mother Earth, planet Earth. So yeah, onwards, transparently expressing in safe environments. Big love to you all. Lots of love. Take care, Shelley. You can say goodbye if you feel.
I'm good. Good night, everyone.